Do you like guns, blood, Quake, and corn? Well, if so, Dusk is the game for you. It was developed in 2018 by New Blood Interactive, with the creative lead David Szymanski. If that name sounds familiar to you, it's because he developed games like Iron Lung, Gloomwood, and Ultra Kill. So this game has quite the background, and so does the team behind it. It's a boomer shooter where there's tons of exotic guns, boss fights, and exciting time attack levels for you to get to explore. You play as Duskman, a farmer in rural Dust, Pennsylvania. Aptly named game, I know. And the demonic cultists in town that were corrupted by some sort of dark energy have hung you on meat hooks, Texas Chainsaw Massacre style. See, this all happens prior to the events of the game, as much like those old games like Doom, not much lore is told you throughout the game. But it's spoon-fed to you through little voice lines and events that happen throughout the game. I originally heard about this game from my friends a couple years back, but when I saw it was on sale recently, I decided to play it and I played the shit out of it. So, I'm gonna info dump on you why I think this game is sick. After regaining consciousness after being hung up with the meat hooks, we can wake up, free ourselves, and face our captors. Hey guys, come on. Come on, we're friends, come on. To defend ourselves, we can get the first weapon of the game, the sickles. And even though they're on the cover of the game, they're pretty bad. Overall, I would want to find ammo over using them in most circumstances, as the enemies have like a shotgun type weapon or an explosive most of the time. And even the enemies that you can get close to, like the leatherheads, they'll just rip you to shreds. So, you know what? Let's put it on a tier list. I would place the sickles in D tier, because don't use them. Overall, I would just find ammo instead, like just don't even worry about it. After killing these guys and walking into the next room, we can immediately grab another weapon. This is the handgun. It's a sort of pea shooter and it isn't very powerful, but it'll get the job done. You can do cool little spins with it too by pressing the R button, as there is no reloading in Dusk. None of the weapons need reloaded, everything just takes from your stockpile. So you can feel free to keep blasting away until you run out of bullets. Overall, the handgun can only handle a couple enemies at a time, so let's place it in C tier. And the pea shooter will be fine, it's not like there's gonna be another gun in the next... Huh. That's cool. This is the shotgun. It has a really tight choke, a lever action swing, and it's super fun to use. Now, I think it's personally my favorite weapon in the game because it's very powerful, and shotgun ammo is constantly given to you as there's multiple shotguns, but you don't have to worry about finding the ammo. Overall, I think I'd place them in A tier. It's not very hard to find where the levels end in Dusk, as most of the time there's an exit sign above the door. And if it's an open area kind of dig, you either fall into it, or it's the only place to go. Knowing that, we can proceed through the corn to the next level, Old Time Religion. Now, there are a plethora of levels in Dusk. There are 3 episodes with 10 levels each. And while I'd love to show you all of them, I don't want the video to be 6 hours long like a Pyrocynical video, so instead, we're going to cover just the favorite levels inside each of the episodes that cover the story and what I love so much about the game. The gameplay. Walking through the corn, we arrive in Old Time Religion. The sky is a burning red dusk, and there's a chapel right on the hill. Come on, man. Bro, what the... It's literally Sunday. Come on. Now, we can't actually get into the chapel because just like Doom and Quake, we need colored keys to open certain doors. Luckily for us, the yellow key to get into the chapel is right out back in the mausoleum. If we can grab that and open up the door, it'll slide down comically just like in Doom, and we can kill all the wizards inside. These guys float around and throw fireballs at you. Yes, I thought the same thing when I first saw them. Doesn't help that there's a boss called the Duke Brothers. Descending below the chapel, down into the crypts, we're swarmed by rats. Luckily, we can grab a new weapon, the assault rifle. Now, this puppy is great at getting rid of a ton of smaller enemies, or focusing down one larger enemy. It holds about 200 shots, and it can get you a decent amount of ammunition from the pickups, so it's a nice little treat sometimes to use. It's very powerful, and I loved using it. A tier for sure.
Oh, I found the red key. And I can't get in here because I need the blue key. Okay.
A great example of the backtracking that's going to need to be done through the level. Now, looking around the landscape, we can find a warehouse where we can use the key. Going up to the door and... This game throws funny little goofs at you like this constantly. There'll be floors that are false and you'll drop down, the announcer will even chuckle at you. And after all, there is an achievement for picking up a bar of soap on every level. After killing all these guys in the encounter, we can grab the blue key, head up and actually go back into the church. Going down there, we can open up the blue door and finally progress towards the end of the level. And you know, I thought I would not like the backtracking in this game, but I found that it made me learn the levels even better. I found the best way to get to the key as fast as possible, and now I can get back to the end of the level and complete it. I thought it was pretty rewarding myself.
What the fuck? That's an alligator.
Going through that blue door, we were jumped by the Intoxicator. This game has a bunch of boss fights that are peppered throughout the game. They don't really have a consistent theme. They don't really have a rhyme or reason. They kind of just exist. There's horses, gator monsters, gators, wizards, you name it. It kind of just has fun with it. And you know what? I don't really care. I get to have a fun boss fight, and in this one, I chose the assault rifle to kill him.
My pet. You'll pay for that.
Sounds like a little Discord mod. Come here, kitten. Now in the next level, Sawdust, we can pick up 2 new guns to add to our arsenal. The super shotgun and the hunting rifle. We can also test the wide open landscape and get used to the movement of the game. In the first structure we come upon in the woods, we can find the hunting rifle at the top of the tower. It does really high damage, but only holds about 15 shots. So you're going to need to use it very carefully. But because of its pinpoint accuracy, you can strafe around and pop targets. So if you've played a lot of CSGO, you're going to love this weapon. But it's a little slow to fire and its ammo is not plentiful, as you only get it like in 1 shot at a time. And it only holds 15. So I'd place it in B tier. Now in the back half of this level, there's a massive gorge we can overlook. And this gorge has something very nice to us. While it has no keys, it does have the super shotgun. Grabbing it, some enemies will spawn and we get to test out our new toy in this wide open area. The super shotgun has the same amount of ammo count as the typical shotgun, but it fires both shells at once, consuming 2 at a time. It does high damage and is super fun to use with a satisfying sound. A tier. Now this level is the perfect place to talk about Dusk's movement. See, Dusk plays a lot like Doom and Quake, in the fact that you can glide and bunny hop. In those games and in Dusk, when you strafe, you actually move way faster than if you were just to hold W. It's kind of weird, but it's how the physics works. Strafing and bunny hopping at the same time will allow you to gather insane momentum. And if you have good enough aim, you can really zoom around the levels and complete them wickedly fast. It's one of the things that made the game so fun, as you have the metal music, the fun guns, the timer, and crazy good speed. So if you're wondering why I move only diagonally a lot of the time, that's why. If you can get used to bunny hopping and strafing at the same time, then you can absolutely nail down Dusk's movement down to a science. If we use our newfound weapons and the game's movement to our advantage, we can hop into a nearby cave near the entrance of the level, and we can grab the key. Moving out of that cave, we can hop on the terrain, go across, and already get to the yellow door. Opening the yellow door, all we have to do is walk in and press the button and... You know, you fooled me a second time, I guess it is my fault. I mean, I should have expected to, fall through the floor. Repeating all of those steps again, we can get back to the yellow building, run past those 2 enemies, and escape the level. As we get closer to civilization, it seems like the cult's activity only rampant. Their soldiers are stronger, and now they have the actual military on their side. We'll have to get into the city to see what's going on. Entering through the gate, we can get to the first major challenge that I faced. Now this level's hard. This is the first time in the game where I was truly stuck for a while, because there's scarecrows. These guys have shotguns and they will blow you to pieces. Combined with that, there's a bunch of goats that are running around, and the cultists, they'll fire fireballs at you. Overall, just not a very easy level, and this is only the first half of it. This area specifically is where I was stuck with this massive gorge. Jumping down, we can snag the red key, boost up again to get to the tunnel, hopefully not get stuck on a horde of cultists, probably die to a horde of cultists, but inevitably get through, and make our way into the red door tunnel. I think on this first part of the level, I must have been stuck here 30 plus minutes. Like, it's ingrained in my brain at this point.
Oh, I'm out of fucking bullets. V2 would be proud. Oh, Jesus! I just wanted to play Dusk.
This opens up the rest of the level to the open clearing, and now we can see where the level gets its name. We need to find the key to the gate. Luckily for us, it's just around the corner. Holy smokes, that's a lot of dudes. Now, to get through all these guys, we're gonna need a new toy. Shotgun. Wait, I already did the shotgun. Now you get two of them. Both the basic handgun and the shotgun, respectively, can be dual-wield if you find another one in the level. Starting with the handgun, now it's effectively a submachine gun. It fires twice as fast, but now it burns through bullets. So it gets through some smaller enemies once again, but it's only slightly better. B tier. As for the shotguns, now I can fire twice as fast and blow holes through the cultists, easily making it the best firepower in the game, as I can strafe hop and blow holes in multiple cultists with plentiful ammo. S tier easily. Using these new toys, we can run around and grab the blue key and open up the gate. Here we find a military camp. Going to a maintenance hatch to try to exit the level, Duskman tells us this place is doomed.
Creations? Aw, it's like a temple.
Are you prepared for what's next?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am not prepared for what's next. They're giving me items because they're just nice. Oh, a lot of guns.
And to get into the next room, we're gonna need to figure out this lock. I don't know if I'm genuinely stupid, but there wasn't a single code in the game I could figure out. Not a single time was there an array of 6 to 8 buttons did I know the code. I just forced it until I figured it out. And the code stays the same, so I don't know if I was supposed to find it somewhere, because every time I tried, the whiteboards had told me to go fuck myself. Like, incredible, man. Hey, and I had a lot of fun making this video, and if you could do me a big favor and drop a like and a comment, the normal YouTube stuff, a little goes a long way, and it helps push the video out to more people who might want to see Dusk and might be entertained. And with that, let's get back into the video.
Sick, I guess. Is there a puzzle or something I'm supposed to do? Well, this seems normal. This seems fine. Hey guys, Hey, ow! Dickhead scientists. Touch. What the hell?
This boss was pretty cool. Flaming horse that attacks you, spits fireballs, has a good bit of health, and pretty dangerous, so it's pretty fun. Overall, I just used the shotguns and the assault rifles and blew them down. Going and pressing the combination lock and trying to figure, and there's a second one. They have a second hell horse. Incredible. You know, I couldn't have guessed it. A second hell horse. Experiment number 2. Couldn't have guessed. Luckily, we can actually run straight past the second experiment if we do wish and end the level. We don't actually have to fight him. Although, what are you, a coward? Kill the boss, man.
This is only the beginning.
Continue the Dusk experience in episode 2, the facilities.
Completing episode 1 or 2 of Dusk will give you an end screen with a good bit of lore, helping kind of further Duskman's experience. However, Duskman seems certain that if we head into the facilities more, we can figure out what the military was doing, and maybe even end all of this. Start off with the first level, the granary. This is because I think this game has wonderful level design, and let me show you why. Going through the entry building, we fight through a couple of rats and end up in an open plain with some soldiers. Going to our right, we can find a red door and a blue key. The level makes it very clear that this is where the end is, and that we need to use this key to get to where all the bullets are coming from across the map. See, we're not going to play the level normally. Instead of going through the blue door to enter the bottom of the facility, we're actually going to go around the side. Going to the right side, there's nothing. Going to the left side, there's also nothing. But if we spam E on the walls on the side of the building, a concrete wall will slowly go down into the floor and we can discover a secret. Here is a teleporter and one of the many shortcuts inside Dusk. Much like a lot of other boomer shooters like Dusk and Quake, you can find a lot of unique guns earlier than you normally would, or shortcuts to take you further in the level. Going through this shortcut, we can actually get the crossbow. It holds 30 shots and has arrows that pierce through all walls and enemies, meaning you can chain up and kill mass amounts of enemies. So that's pretty high damage too and has no drop off. Its ammo is somewhat plentiful as it's glowing green and easy to see, and it allows you to fly by firing it at the ground when you jump, meaning you can traverse some insane distances if you have enough ammo. Overall, I placed it in A tier. This shortcut teleports us right up top, gives us a hunting rifle, and has us fight and fend for ourselves. This skips a nice chunk of the level and lets us get straight into the business. Climbing up a ladder in the back, we can navigate through some of the buildings and drop into a massive grain silo. There's no way out. But there's a power-up in the center of the room, and the game has a plethora of these. This one allows us to climb on walls. After grabbing the yellow key, we can scale up the walls and exit the grain silo. Using that key, we can jump down and open the tallest building and climb up to the top. At the top, it gives us the Riveter. It fires rivets, I guess? Explosive projectiles that fire in a straight line, and while it only holds 25 of them, it does high damage. And while you only get 1 or 2 bullets at a time, you only use it for the really massive enemies or the bosses. And those, it cleans them up without question. S tier, easily. The switch next to the Riveter opens down the silo below where we can get the red key for the end of the level. Trying to get to the red door will be jumped by upgraded wizards. They're now in purple and fire big homing shots at us. There is no reason to fight them here, as they're not a boss and they don't give us anything, so we can just hustle through the red door and exit the level. This level is the perfect example of how time attacking can be really fun in a game. If you design a level good enough, then people will want to replay it, beat the developer times, or just explore the level for themselves. I still haven't found all the secrets in that level, and there's without a doubt way faster ways to clear it. Now, in the next level, there isn't too much to talk about, except for how the game introduces its enemies. This level has what I think is personally my favorite enemy. In this level, the Unseen, we need a red key in order to progress. So we have to head through a back tunnel and drop down in a ladder. What's that sound? Going further down the hallway, we can grab the red key we need, but not before pants and snarls start to fill the room. Surprise! This is the Wendigo. He's an invisible enemy that will only reveal himself with a violin stinger whenever you shoot him or he gets harmed in some way. He absolutely scared the shit out of me the first time I played, and I squealed whenever I got jumped by him. He does high damage and you don't want to get mixed up with them. The only way you'll know they're coming is by the panting that you'll hear and the scratching on the floor. They're such an interesting enemy. Like, they look so cool and they take after American folklore, but they also mean business. Proceeding through the next few levels, there isn't much to note, but the voice does beg us a question. Pondering his question, we can head further into the facilities into the Escher Labs, an experimental laboratory deep underground. Here is where it's especially evident that the government was absolutely using some demonic energy themselves. I mean, we see Wendigo tanks. You don't just have a tank of Wendigos inside your facility. Like, what are you doing then? Wandering through the laboratory, it gave off SCP vibes. I really thought there was gonna be a shitting peanut statue that was gonna come snap my neck at any second. Exploring the laboratory more, we can find one of the many power-ups in the game.
Go on. Power.
And you know what? I don't care. Power tastes great. This is the time freeze power-up, and it's really fun. I only see it in a couple levels, such as one of the endless ones, but whenever I did get to use it, it was really fun getting to enact my inner super hot. However, when we picked it up, it called it a serum, which makes me think that it was made. So the military made this serum that allows your soldiers to be able to slow time. It seems the military was using the energy for military applications? You're telling me the United States military in Dusk, Pennsylvania used demonic energy to get a leg up on the battlefield? Oh, okay. After heading out of this room, the laboratory will start to distort. Whatever energy's at play here, it doesn't want us getting past. The walls will start to flip with each other, things will start to move in their places, and the creatures will get more messed up. Fighting through the laboratory and using several teleporters, we end up in a flesh room. Not nice, guys, come on. A second time? Shame on you. Come get your dogs. Taking this key, we can take the teleporter out and try to find the end of the level. On my journey there, I found a computer and thought I'd play some games. After we get the red key, we can enter a previously locked door, and we enter a big black void with a silo in the middle of the room. This game absolutely knocks it out of the park once again with how it introduces things, and I just know that something terrible is in this tank.
What have you done?
She's called a cowgirl in the game's files, and she leans over and fires mortars at you. High explosives that'll almost one-shot you if you're not careful. I chose to strafe around the room and use my assault rifle to try to take her out. However, going inside her silo and pressing her button will open the door to escape, so you could also choose to fight or flee. She deals insanely high damage and is without a doubt the most fearsome boss so far. The music kicks in as soon as the boss fight starts, and it's super fun. You're jumping around this dark void fighting this enemy firing mortars at you while you hear the agonizing screams. It's super metal, it feels like you're fighting a demon, super cool. Now, whether you fight or flee, you can progress into the next room. This chaotic orange energy is what they were using to fuel their experiments in the lab. But was it for the sake of science, or something greater and more demonic? Yeah, no, it was science. This is the next mission, the Erebus reactor. Apparently, the military is using all this demonic energy to give power to the citizens of Dusk, Pennsylvania. However, probably because ancient evil offering you unlimited power isn't always a good thing, it's gonna end terribly. So, we need to figure out how to shut it down or get past this place, because no doubt this kind of energy is what corrupted the entire town. Duskman, however, endures and dives further into the Erebus reactor. Now, at the first glance, this level seems scary. There's tons of wide open areas, you can go up top into the rafters, and there are so many enemies. But it's actually an exercise in patience. While at first I did just decide to jump around the level constantly, I learned that wasn't actually a good choice. Instead, I slowed down and looked around at my surroundings, and I noticed one of the buildings on the sides can be opened. I opened it and got the yellow key that I needed. Taking this yellow key, we can open one of two warehouses. One of them has booby traps and a bunch of enemies that hurt you, and the other one is where our next key is, where we get the red key. Hopping up into the rafters, we can dodge past the turrets and grab it, and get right out of the building. See, I think David Szymanski takes after the Miyazaki rule of thought, and now every boss that you kill just becomes an enemy. You know, screw it, she was the hardest boss? Yeah, she's a normal enemy now. This man is truly an expert at making my life a living hell. Using that red keycard, we can go back to where the level began and head into the outside of the building. It's very dark outside and we're in a wide open area. And there's a single metal pillar that goes right into the sky. The only other thing to do is go to the shed, where there's a button. Man, that's fucking right. Damn. It's clear this reactor isn't just powering Dusk, Pennsylvania. It's powering something far above us. These four massive supports must lead to somewhere. And the elevator is our only way of getting there.
Come and kill me! Guten Tag! Come on! Come on, kill me! Do it now! Guten Tag!
Trying to go through it, we're jumped by Big John. He's a Terminator ripoff, and he's just an army guy that you fight. Looking at him, he's not even possessed by the cult. He just wants you to kill him, and you just fight him. I genuinely don't know what his deal is, but fun nonetheless. Going into the Skylab tunnels takes us down deep into the earth, and eventually to the last mission of episode 2, the Gateway. Now here, you're faced with a massive door where the exit of the level is. But you also have two teleporters on either side and no way to open the door in front of you. Man, it is never a good sign when a level is empty. You just know something bad's about to happen.
That's a menacing name. I retrieved a riveter, huh? Okay. Why? Why did I retrieve a riveter?
He's a gator man with a mortar attached to his arm, and he'll fire lobs of highly explosive shots. If you're standing anywhere near a wall or close to him, he'll just one-shot you. He also has 17k health, giving you the impression that he's either a formidable foe or you really should run from him. Now, while you can fight the Gator Man, he has 17k health, and it's most certainly not the fastest way to achieve our goal. I died non-stop in this level, and this is truly a hard boss. It seems like the game is ramping him up. While the Gator was super easy, Mama and this guy most certainly don't play around. If we're going to want to escape this level, we're going to need to open the door at the center of the room. To do that, we're going to need to press 4 switches. There's 2 through both teleporters. Very quickly, you'll realize he teleports to you when you try pressing the levers. He has scripted teleports. So keeping that in mind and dying to him a couple of times, we'll eventually learn where his teleports are, and we can swiftly get away. Navigating around the arena, we can eventually press all 4 levers and exit the level. This level made me so much better at the movement in the game, because you really have to cut tight corners in order to get away from his lobs, especially whenever he starts teleporting to you when you try to press the levers. It seems the scientists in the military got too close to the sun, and they channeled demonic energy and made demonic bets in order to achieve power. It seems like the military was using it to make super soldier serum, and the scientists were using it to power these massive labs, and probably some of Dusk, Pennsylvania. But for Dusk Dude, he wants answers. And to find out why we were kept up and almost sacrificed, we'll need to go into the 3rd episode, the Nameless City. Now, I want to know how Dusk Dude's story ends, and we learn that in episode 3, the Nameless City. Now, overall, the game is super fun. I enjoyed the quick style movement and the hopping around with the strafe jumping, and the arsenal is so wide and varied, and the boss fights are really fun. If you like old Doom and Quake games, then you're going to absolutely love this game. It's really exciting, and the secrets are really fun. You can even time attack yourself if you want. Now, in this episode, it's going to be mostly lore-filled, so if you don't want the story spilled for yourself, and you want to play the game yourself, I recommend skipping ahead to Chapter 4. Still here? Let's get going. Being dropped through the portal into the Nameless City, we're standing in front of a big old cathedral, with a brand new toy for us. We're actually given a new weapon in this chapter, and it's the sword. It's a new melee weapon that will replace our sickles. And when we have high morale and high health, we can actually block and do charged attacks. It's pretty powerful and does good damage, so it's not a bad tool, as it does have infinite uses. Once again, melee is not a very good idea in this game, as enemies do high damage. While you can block, the main caveat of this weapon is that if you don't have high enough morale, you can't do that, effectively making it just as bad as the sickle. B tier. We enter Homecoming through a teleporter much like the rest of the levels, as every level in the Nameless City is a distinct separate instance from the other. You take a teleporter and you're whisked into a new realm. It's a constant series of jumping between different memories. This is a twisted view of Dusk Dude's home. The grass is still green, there's a nice bright sky, while it's a sickly green. Blood runs instead of water, and of course there are demons everywhere. It's a series of floating islands with interesting structures, and a orb? Looks quite familiar. This is actually the same energy that we saw back in the Escher Labs. And if we interact with it, it'll rotate gravity, changing how the level is played. And don't worry, if you fall outside the box, you'll teleport right back where you were. Going through a couple of the gravity puzzles, we can fix gravity and go into a house. Inside this house, we can snag another key and see Dusk on the screen again. Only on this computer, it shows the house next door to us. Navigating outside and going inside the house, we can discover that this is Dusk Dude's actual home. Here is the only place where we actually get to learn about our character throughout the game. Interacting with the portraits on the walls, he tells us it hurts to remember, and it appears that these are his children, and this is his wife. And he had a nice quaint life before this, and the demons and the cultists ripped it away from him. Where his loved ones are, we don't know, and that's most certainly what Dusk Dude is trying to figure out. You go out back and check the cellar, he tells you, he really doesn't fuck with frogs. Changing gravity to be upside down, we can go to the island above us and get into a mini version of the Escher Labs. Here we can finally fix gravity and exit the level. As we dive even deeper into the Nameless City, it's clear that it's starting to reflect Dusk Dude's personal hell. All of these things are made to taunt him and torture him. And this culminates in his decision in as above, so below. Here, Dusk Dude is given a choice, back where it all started. He can hang himself on the meat hooks and repeat the cycle. And with no other place to go, it's our only option. Okay. I got this. Gotta jump up.
Show us that you are worthy.
Here, we have a wave-style arena. There are 8 waves in total, and the first 7 of them are just the different enemies throughout the game. They ramp up, and the only ones we don't see are the fish and the turrets. There are 7 waves of pure onslaught with the enemies of the game, and an 8th one that has the bosses of the game. And to get through this place, we're going to need to talk about our last weapon, the mortar. The mortar is a pretty good explosive, and while I didn't talk about it much before, it's because this is by far the best use case for it. It lobs a ball-like projectile, you'd get 50 of them, and they explode when you press right-click. While they do a good bit of damage and they're explosive and powerful, it's kind of hard to aim them in a lot of levels, and you're not really sitting around to wait and use the mortar. So overall, I'd say it's B tier. If we utilize our movement correctly, all of our weapons, and even the power-ups that are around the level, we can get to what is finally the last wave. Wave 8, with the Watchers of the Gate. This is a mashup of most of the bosses in the game, and is your final trial in order to beat the level.
Excellent. Then come to us.
Completing a level, we can... Hold on. How did the devs beat this in 35 seconds? No. It is 8 waves of pure onslaught. Just wave after wave after wave of enemies. How did the devs beat it in 35 seconds? There has to be a shortcut. And this sent me down a rabbit hole. And after a while of looking around, I found it. When you enter the level, simply turn around. And there, you see that little speck? That's the teleporter. If we use the crossbow from earlier, we can actually jump and fly to it by spamming our shots. Landing on that teleporter will transport us to another area entirely. Aw, man, not again. Okay. Whew. Second time's the charm. Second time's the charm. Taking the meat hooks once again, we can complete the level. It's a shortcut that entirely circumvents the entire level, and it's how the devs beat it in 35 seconds. Only does that imply that the devs are also cowards? Because their dev time was with the graffiti that says they were cowards?
We're waiting.
This is the final level of Dusk. Dusk! And it takes place during dusk. In the game, Dusk. It's a recreation with a little cabin in the woods, the sky is just like it was in the Farmlands, and it's relatively peaceful. Every weapon can be found on the property, and it's gearing you up for something devious. A little disappointing that the crystals and picking items up to use and open things was never used again, because you can't use your gun whenever picking up crystals, so it could have made the movement a little bit more important. But whatever. And if we put all the crystals in, we can power up the teleporter and face our final confrontation.
At last. You finally arrived. You shall be my final test.
Everything that up to this point in Dusk was about Jacob. Nothing really ever mattered about Dusk Dude. He was merely a plaything that was supposed to be a test for the cult leader. And this guy Jacob actually isn't coming out of nowhere. If we look around the game and in the paintings in the Escher labs, we actually see drawings and paintings of a guy that looks like this. Jacob has his eyes peeled back and stapled into his head. And while he is just a normal man with no powers, don't be fooled. He is just like you and I. He uses shotguns, the assault rifle, and the mortar, all weapons which you have, and he b-hops and strafes around the room, entirely like you do. And it's not even the case of, oh, he'll do it if you do it, or he's mirroring you. He just does it. He's built to roam.
can't betray me! My disciples!
And now, all we have to do, after killing the cult leader who started it all, is head into the sunlight and go back home.
He was worthy, you know, and he accomplished so much. But then, you came along. You who were stronger. You who were faster. You I like better. Who did you expect at the end of all of this? God? The devil, perhaps? No. It's just me.
This is Nameless, the true final boss of Dusk. He's a towering god that's made up of a mass of tentacles and pulsating green energy. He's actually an outer god from the works of H.P. Lovecraft. Nyarlathotep is actually the only god in H.P. Lovecraft's universe that could talk to people, which makes me think that he just relished in the madness. From all the things I've seen from Lovecraft's work, it seems that he was a god that wanted Jacob to go insane, feed off of the insanity that happened on the mortal coil, and so he gave Jacob the power he wanted. He gave the military energy, super soldier serum, everything they could ever want, just so he could watch them go mad. To finally reach the sunlight once again, we're going to need to kill him. And he has 17k HP, so that'll be no easy task. Currently, he's invincible until we find his weakness. However, that weakness is the cracks in the ceiling. Shooting the cracks, sunlight will come down and burn him, getting rid of his invincible status. Then, most of the time, he'll swipe at you with his arms. They're very well telegraphed, but if you're me, you'll just get hit anyway.
You fool! Enough! You are indeed worthy. And so now, my power is yours. How does it feel? Horrible, isn't it? But wonderful, yes. Who you were before is insignificant. Who you are now is inconceivable. But here you shall remain, till I have need of you again. For one must always reign beneath Dusk.
So in the end, the main protagonist of Dusk falls victim to the power he tried to stop. He didn't get back his family, and he wasn't able to save the day. Only become Dusk. I'm not surprised that we turned out to be a god, and matter of fact, the reveal was really cool to me. My jaw was on the floor. Our motivations were always kind of blurry, and we never really knew what our true intentions were. While we knew we wanted to go further into the facilities, we only learned towards the end in our repressed memories that something happened to our family. It seems that Dusk Dude had different motivations this entire time. If you're looking for more content after the main game, there's also a couple of options. First, you could go back into the levels and try to get all of the badges. Something I failed to mention earlier is there's actually a couple of badges that you can earn for doing special things when you complete levels. There's Completionist, which means you have to find all of the secrets and kill all of the enemies. There's Low Tech, which is gotten from only using environmental kills. And there's Pacifist, which is for, you know, being a pacifist. If you don't want to get the badges, then you could try to beat your own time, the dev time, or even the world record time if you fancy that. As I think that trying to beat the clock is one of the most fun things in a video game, I tend to gravitate towards the speedrunning type games anyway. But if playing through the game's already existing content didn't fancy you, then why don't you try out the endless modes? In Endless, you pick one of 3 maps based off the episodes of the game, and your goal is to get the highest score possible in the quickest amount of waves. The first one is Farmlands, and it features a couple of buildings and some open areas. It's not too cramped, and there's a couple of guns that are pretty easy to grab, so it's a pretty fun Endless to get to play around in. To gain score in Endless, you get 10 for killing an enemy, and it only goes up by multiplier the more enemies you kill. So while every enemy is worth the same amount of score, killing more enemies faster will give you more points. So speed truly is key. Additionally, whenever you die, ending the Endless run, it'll actually tell you how many enemies you killed, how many waves you played, and how long it took you. So if you're trying to improve on your own time, you need to kill more enemies faster. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I do not like the facility map. It's an indoor area that's really cramped and just isn't that fun to play around in. The guns, while they are pretty easy to get to and the ammo bag's not hard to get to either, there's a lot of choke points, so you kind of have to take damage from like the welder enemies that fire mortars. Just not that fun to play around in overall. I personally think this one would have been way cooler if it was in the Erebus reactor room, as that's a really wide open area with environmental hazards in the floor and a lot of enemies and vantage points. It could have been pretty sick. Now, the Cathedral by far is my favorite Endless level, as it's a set piece from the level Blasphemy in episode 3. All of the guns can be found in the main cathedral in the middle, with a couple of them spread around the outskirts of the block. You can also find a bunch of power-ups and free ammo constantly. There's even a backpack in the middle of the map. I think the part I enjoy about this level is how open it is, as there's just the cathedral in the middle of the map. Other than that, you get free reign to jump and hop around the level. It's pretty fun. And even a couple waves in, they have an environmental hazard on this one. The tornado, much like in the level Blasphemy, comes in and destroys the church, getting rid of the only cover you actually had. There's also workshop maps that you can install, but I installed them and couldn't figure it out. I might just be dumb, but I genuinely sat there for an hour trying to figure out how to install workshop maps and couldn't figure it out. Overall, I think that Dusk was a fantastic shooter with great movement, world building, enemies, and a nice carrot on the stick story that you're drip fed throughout. It's not a ton of exposition and it knows what it does best. It's fun, quick styled hopping around movement and its big arsenal of weapons. That's what you came for and that's what you're getting. And with its ending, I felt pretty happy with the game. And overall, I highly recommend it. It's about $6 right now and it goes for $20 when it's not on sale. The energy and the chaos was most certainly kept to the max at all times, and it is, without a doubt, the most chaotic boomer shooter that I have ever played, and I highly recommend it. If you enjoyed the video, go in the comments section and drop a suggestion when you want to see me play next. I would tell you what I'm going to play next, but I am low-key indecisive. Also, this is made of burlap, in potato sacks, and it is absolutely not comfortable. I cannot wait to take this off.